This is a fan-generated show. If you would like to support us, please go to jamieglazov.com, and also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All your support is greatly appreciated.
Good evening. Welcome to the Glazov Gang. Tonight, the Candace-Kanye Black Revolution against the left. With us this evening, Daniel Greenfield, Shillman journalism fellow at the David Horowitz Freedom Center and the editor of the blog The Point at frontpagemag.com. Daniel, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me back once more.
Fantastic. Quick update on the hat, please.
The hat is still sitting on my head. If it leaves my head, your viewers would be the first to know.
All right. Daniel, very fascinating developments in our world and in the United States. Candace Owens, wow, really leading a revolution, a black revolution against the American left and liberating so many blacks off the Democratic plantation. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, just go to, Candace Owens has become a mega force in the United States. Go to Twitter, Red Pill Black, or just look up Candace Owens and you'll see what's going on. She's just doing an incredible job. So Kanye West, the rapper, superstar rapper, tweets 7 words, Daniel. I love the way Candace Owens thinks. And boy, the leftist establishment is terrified and responds almost like a possessed person responds when holy water is thrown on them. You take it away, Daniel. What's going on?
One of the biggest weapons that the left has is cultural. And when we talk about a cultural weapon, what that really means is it has the ability to bestow cool, to decide who's hip and who isn't. And obviously conservatives, anybody who disagrees with them they're hidebound, they're the past, they're the old people, they're unhip and uncool. And so when you've got somebody who's a celebrity who challenges that, of course, they quickly have to go after him because it threatens a big part of their power base. The left's power base is in the entertainment industry and academia. The entertainment industry, part of it is the cultural power. It's the coolness power. It's the ability to say this is cool and this isn't, which, of course, is very much an influence on younger people.
Absolutely. And look, Candace and Kanye now, they're really threatening something. The left is terrified. I mean, you should have seen all the talk show hosts in the evening, all the leftists. They're going crazy, putting down, Kanye. We know that, we know Candace is always under, this malicious attack from the left. They're terrified because they want to keep black people thinking about slavery and Jim Crow. They want them thinking about the past. They want them to, and by the way, we're not saying that the past is not important. Of course it's important. But they want to nurture, the left and the Democrats, they want to nurture a victim mentality of blacks and keep them focused on thinking about the past and on victimhood. And that way they get to own them on their own plantation. Now, Candace and Kanye are now threatening that political power, correct?
Very much. Really, any kind of development where what's supposed to be cool turns on them, where you've got any kind of celebrity who actually seems to be leaning toward the right, they very quickly go after them. They try to destroy them. And of course, black people are not supposed to be Republican or conservative in any way, shape, or form. So one of the first things that they do is when you have a minority, black person, Latino, gay, whatever, who goes to the right, they direct their fire at them far more than they do at a white conservative, because again, that damages their entire premise. Their entire premise is that they're the force protecting minorities from the evil white establishment. When you have minorities identifying on the right, then that's not supposed to happen. It undermines the entire premise. And that, again, is a major threat to them because this is their whole identity. And that's why you have identity politics. It's why you have identity gatekeeping. Identity gatekeeping means being able to say, if you're black, then you have to be on the left. Once somebody who's black is on the right, then they get all the fire. So Ben Carson, for example, is a great example. We've seen this happen to plenty of black conservatives over the years. They go after them. For example, Clarence Thomas has been their #1 target on the Supreme Court, precisely, again, because he's a black conservative.
So Daniel, it never ends, just that this surreal, bizarre malice and just just the pathology of the left, because the leftists use the slander of racism against conservatives. They're always saying that we're racist. But they look at a black person and they say, oh, you're black, you have to think like this. They're the ones looking at skin color. They believe that a person's skin color should necessitate how that person should think. Isn't that racist? And you got all these all these white people writing to Candace and to other black conservatives, telling them that they're not black anymore. I mean, how do you take somebody's blackness away from them because of a political view?
But that's the whole point of identity politics. The whole point of identity politics is to mobilize people by groups, including by racial groups, and then controlling them. Thus, if you get to decide what the black experience is, then you can also say who is black and who isn't black. And then you can have a white woman who claims she's black heading the NAACP, and then you can declare that Dr. Ben Carson isn't really black because he doesn't have the right political views. A lot of this is a construct, and the construct is used to mobilize political agendas. The left isn't interested in protecting black people. It's interested in using particular identity groups. I mean, like the way the Soviet Union set up all these little subdivisions of every little group that they had conquered and colonized, and they set them up as a separate entity under their control. This is the same thing that the left does in America with its multiculturalism.
I'm glad you brought up the Soviet Union, because this is my next question here. So a little while back, Kanye said, he made this statement that if he had voted, he would have voted for Trump. And right after that, there was all this stuff about Kanye's quote-unquote mental health. Now we see that right now too. After Kanye went on Twitter and made all those tweets in support of Candace, then he made other tweets about, his support of Trump, love of Trump, about the importance of thinking independently, etc., etc. Now there's all this stuff going on about Kanye's mental health. To the best of my memory, Daniel, in the Soviet Union, when somebody didn't follow the official party line, they ended up in a psychiatric hospital being force-fed psychiatric drugs. The left is just doing the same thing, what the Soviets did, just doing it in a different manner here. They're always entering this psychiatry slander and persecution, right?
Yeah, there's definitely that angle. And, Cher, who tweets like a completely crazy person, but she tweets on the left. Nobody ever says that she should be institutionalized or that she needs psychiatric help. Nobody was saying that Roseanne needed psychiatric help back when she was on the left. The moment, of course, that she turned pro-Trump, then suddenly, of course, they default to the she's crazy thing. So you can be as crazy as you want to be, take Cher, for example, and nobody will say that you're crazy as long as you have the right politics. If you have the wrong politics, then, of course, you're crazy, you're racist, you're 20 other different things. The whole point is to attack you as a person and to delegitimize you as a person.
Daniel, Kanye saying very important things. And in one of his tweets, he says, Obama was president for 8 years and nothing in Chicago changed. I think that was a very important thing to say. What do you think?
I think it sums up the whole Obama problem, because Obama came in promising all these things. He certainly delivered for the hard left. He didn't deliver anything for the black community, nothing meaningful. He wrecked Baltimore entirely. He wrecked some other cities entirely, but he didn't change anything fundamentally for black people. You can see, you can go to a black neighborhood, you can see all these holographic posters and pictures of Obama everywhere right next to Jesus, but he hasn't actually done anything meaningful. What he's delivered for was the left, because Obama was a creature of the left. He claimed to be black. He played the game that he was representing the black community, but he didn't represent the black community. And there are black people who do get that, who are very unhappy about the situation. And even from the beginning, black leaders were actually very unhappy with Obama. They were just kind of rushed along. Even Jesse Jackson, you have Jesse Jackson on that hot mic on Fox News saying that Obama had basically frozen out black leaders. So this was very much a reality.
Absolutely. Look, good, really thumbs up to Kanye, brave guy, so important, the truths that he's saying. But it's incredible, but very expected how the left, how it slanders, how it attacks. So they've got that mental health thing that they got going with Kanye. Very interesting with Candace, in some of her far right. And, you know, I'm just wondering, Candace Owens wants black people to liberate themselves from the Democratic plantation, just wants them to think independently, wants them to think that they could achieve, that they can have victory in life, not to see themselves as victims. Why is this far right, Daniel?
Well, again, it's not as if the left recognizes any kind of moderate right. To the left, there's only one kind of right, the far right. So when the left says far right, that just means the right in practice. Because the left doesn't recognize that there's such a thing as opposing them and still being a moderate. To the left, if you oppose them, you're always an extremist. That's why they always identify every conservative organization as extremist. Meanwhile, of course, they're always moderates. There's no such thing as a leftist extremist or militant. Even the weathermen are just NYU professors.
I just try to understand, even with, you know, with me, with you, with Annie, like, you know, Annie Cyrus, she wants to liberate a little Muslim girl so she doesn't have female genital mutilation perpetrated on her. Annie doesn't want a child to be forced into marriage at the age of 9 or 10 in some Islamic country under Sharia. Why is she far right? Why am I far right? Why are you? They're always labeling people that are simply just for human rights as far right.
Well, again, the bottom line is that the left doesn't recognize that there's such a thing as a legitimate political opposition. And this is something that we're seeing throughout the country now. The attacks on Trump have gotten vicious far beyond any kind of political debate. They're actually using law enforcement. They're actually using counterintelligence against the political opposition. You don't do that if you believe that the political opposition is legitimate. So the whole premise of the left is that to be in the opposition to them is to be fundamentally legitimate. And by the way, they don't just apply this to Republicans. They will apply this to even Democrats who are somewhat conservative. They're trying to wipe out the last remaining pro-life Democrats, because if you're pro-life, you're by definition illegitimate. You're a racist, you're a monster, you want to kill women. The left use everything in a black and white absolutist zero-sum game mentality, which means it has to destroy its political opponents. And we see the end result of that in the Soviet Union, in communist China, in Cuba, and Venezuela, where everybody who opposes them has to be destroyed utterly and completely.
Absolutely. Daniel, you know, Candace Owens, just magnificent. Some of her tweets, well, all of her tweets, very powerful. Just let me read one. Quote, $500 million of taxpayer dollars go to slaughtering 800 black babies per day. Not a single word from Black Lives Matter. 0.0004% of unarmed blacks shot annually, and they want us to burn down our own neighborhoods. Who funds Black Lives Matter? I think there's a powerful point there, right?
Yeah, we do in fact know who funds Black Lives Matter, and it isn't black people, it's white leftists. It's the Ford Foundation, it's George Soros, and these people, again, have done what the left has always done. It began actually with the communists. The communists were the first to incite black race riots in America, and they were doing it much the same way. They had their activists, and these people posed as representing black grievances. In fact, again, they were trying to divide Americans. They were trying to stage violence. They wanted to tear apart the country, and that's what the Obama administration was doing. That's what the left always does. It creates racial divisions. It divides up people into various groups. It tries to multiply those groups to create as many groups as possible, invent new groups, groups based on gender, groups based on sexuality. Now they've got illegal aliens as a separate group, and they will multiply all these groups and then claim their leadership and, of course, punish any of those people who don't go along with that agenda.
Wow. Well, the left is just trembling in its boots. The establishment media is trembling in its boots. And boy, do they hate Candace. One more tweet by her that I want to read really capsulizes her powerful message and what she's representing. Quote, "The year of the black victim is ending. If you have a vested interest in blacks jumping on top of cars, burning down our own neighborhoods, crying over the national anthem, boycotting H&M over monkey hoodies, and screaming over hairdo appropriation, it may be time to short the stock." Very powerful, and she's basically pointing out, Daniel, that for the left, they want black people oppressed. They want them burning down their own neighborhoods. They're invested in that, right?
Of course, that is the only use they actually have for black people. That and profiting by selling welfare, because much of that money really goes to politically connected people who distribute that. So they view black people as a source of labor, as a source of slave labor, as a source of political labor, as a source of voting labor, as a source of activist labor, but not as people who have a right to their own destiny.
Right, and so somebody like Candace, somebody like Kanye, they want black people to have control over their destiny. Because what we have right now, and Candace points this out, is that the left has succeeded in perpetuating and enforcing a certain Stockholm syndrome. There's many black Americans have a Stockholm syndrome with the left and with the Democratic Party. They're terrified to leave that plantation. Let's end on that. Talk about that Stockholm syndrome briefly, Daniel, and how Kanye and Candace represent such a threat to the left because they want to liberate American blacks from that syndrome.
Well, the essence of identity politics is, as I've said, identity gatekeeping. It's mobilizing people, mobilizing groups, and keeping them persecuted, keeping them divided, keeping them feeling other. So the goal of all this divisiveness is to make black people feel like they're not Americans, they're not part of the country. So they reward black nationalists, they will set off violence. They will break up the black family, they will kill black babies, they will do all sorts of things to keep black people at the margins of society so they can actually make use of them. And that's, as many people have described, many African-American conservatives have described, is plantation politics. They're the obstacle to have black people being able to fully participate in American society. And again, we can see that all around us. We can see that in the race riots and the violence that was touched off by the Obama administration. And we can just see that in every Democrat-controlled city. We can see the situation in Chicago. We can see it in St. Louis. We can see it in Baltimore. These are the wages of Democrat control. And their end result is to create divisiveness, to make black people miserable. They've destroyed black neighborhoods. They've destroyed black families. They've destroyed black communities. And they will destroy any black person who tells the truth about them.
That is the story of the left. Candace Owens and Kanye West, thank you so much for leading this brave and noble black revolution against the left. And Daniel Greenfield, thank you for giving us your profound analysis of what's going on in this particular context right now. Fascinating times. Daniel, thank you for joining the show.
Thank you so much for having me on once more.
Thank you so much, Daniel. See you soon. Everybody, read Daniel Greenfield's brilliant blogs at The Point at frontpagemag.com. Also, we are a fan-generated program. We're only here because of you. If you like what we do, please go to jamieglazov.com to support the show. And the least you can do is be subscribed to the YouTube channel of the Glazov Gang and tell everybody about it, even at the corner grocery store. We'll see you on the next Glazov Gang edition. Good night.